And welcome to Columbus, folks, the world-famous Ohio State Buckeyes. Y'all Scarlet Unis, I think they'll sweet.
So August 30th, Ohio State versus Texas. We are now only 9 days away, and only 2 days away from the start of the college football season. And this game is going to provide us one of the most entertaining quarterback matchups we have seen in a long time. Julian Sayin, who was just recently announced to be the Buckeyes starting quarterback, against Arch Manning, a guy who has been around the Longhorns program for about 2 years, and fans have been waiting impatiently for him to finally get the keys to the offense, but the time is now. This is a rematch game. It's the first time a 1 seed is not favored going into week 1. It's Lee Corsos' final game day, and even though this unfortunately is a big noon game that kind of robbed us of getting that nighttime environment, this still could be one of the most intense matchups of the regular season, and I want to break down everything that you need to know about this Julian Sayin versus Arch Manning matchup, and also all the other position by position breakdowns that could have a major impact on who wins this game. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so let's start out with the Ohio State side of things and Julian Sayin. I think everyone knew that he would win the starting job, even though Ryan Day wanted him to compete and battle it out with Lincoln Keenholz throughout camp. I think that was the right approach because both guys are ready to go in case of an injury or something like that. Sayin has been around on the sidelines and has actually played in a few games for a few drives, so he knows the system. He did not need as many reps through the offseason as a brand new guy, so I think distributing the reps to have both guys ready was the right thing to do. Now, let's take a look at what makes Julian Sayin so good. Really, since he was a kid, Julian has been known to have elite accuracy. It really stood out from a young age. He was described by some analysts as the most refined passer in the 2024 cycle. One person even said that every time the football leaves his hand, it looks perfect. And his accuracy really extends across all levels of the field, from short precision passes to deep balls with advanced touch. He was able to maintain a 70.6 completion percentage over his entire high school career, and his senior year was just unbelievable. In his senior year, he had a 75.5% completion percentage. He threw for 2,369 passing yards and had 24 touchdowns with only 1 interception. So take a guess at what his rating was. It was 147.3. Yep, it really was. That is just unreal. I think one of the things that will allow him to be successful the most at the college level is his quick release and tight compact throwing motion. Also, he's able to generate good zip on short and intermediate passes, and with the way Ohio State operates, that's going to be a big thing because Jeremiah Smith is always open on crossing routes, same with Carnell Tate from time to time, and if he can just get the football out to the playmakers in space, on time and on target, then he's automatically going to be successful. It really is that simple. Now let's talk about Arch Manning. He obviously has been a big player to follow from a young age just because of his name alone, so he's not a guy that's going to crumble under the bright lights. I do think being in the shoe with that Ohio State crowd is going to cause him to feel some pressure, but nothing that he can't handle. Arch in high school was able to break the passing records that were previously held by both Peyton and Eli Manning, and his stats were super consistent across all years. His freshman year was actually arguably his best season overall, which is kind of funny, where he threw for 2,509 passing yards with 34 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, but you could also argue that his senior year was actually the best because he threw 34 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions, but he just did not have as many overall passing yards at 2,270. Arch had one specific game where he really got on everyone's radar, throwing for 356 yards and 7 touchdowns in a single game, simultaneously breaking both Peyton's career touchdown record and Eli's career passing yards record. And Arch is definitely bigger than Sayin. If we're comparing the physical tools, he's about 6'4", 220, and Julian is 6'1", but both guys have the arm strength to make any throw from anywhere on the field, and they both have effortless releases. I do think this will be an absolute cinema meme type of matchup, but honestly, this may be a shocker, but I don't think it's the quarterback position that is going to determine the winner of this Ohio State versus Texas week 1 game. I think both quarterbacks are going to show out. I think this game is going to come down to 3 things. One of those things is that there's only one Jeremiah Smith on the field, and he does play for the Buckeyes. 2 is that the game is at the shoe, and 3, I think the running game may be the most important thing because starting fast out of the gate will determine the tone setter. If either one of the teams can get that run game going to open up play action, I think that's who will ultimately win. because once both teams get settled in, I think they are each more than capable of shredding each other's secondary, especially with all the roster turnover. Now that the Buckeyes have a younger team again after that championship run, I think whoever starts the fastest and creates the early momentum is going to win this football game. So Ohio State obviously lost both Quinshon Judkins to the Browns, if he even ends up signing with all his behind the scenes stuff going on, and then they lost Travion Henderson to the Patriots in the draft. So now the Buckeyes have an entirely new duo in the backfield. There's no continuity, and that consists of CJ Donaldson, the West Virginia transfer. Sorry to sound like Gus Johnson there, I'm kidding, he's the GOAT. And then there is James Peoples, a guy who has been around and knows the Ryan Day offense, and he also shed some weight to become more elusive like Donaldson did as well. Peoples brings exceptional talent as a former top 10 national running back recruit, and even despite limited opportunities behind 2 NFL backs last year, he really showed impressive balance, leverage, and vision in his limited action, and scouts have praised his patience to let blocks develop and his speed to exploit defensive mistakes. Now for CJ Donaldson, he's 6'2" and 232 pounds. Obviously he used to be 252, but he shed that weight. He had 734 yards and 11 touchdowns last year for the Mountaineers, and I expect him to be around that mark once again. I expect more efficiency. I think he can put up those numbers with less carries and effort because of what's now around him, but he really has that God-given ability to stay patient and let blocks develop in front of him, and then he has the speed to really exploit defensive mistakes. Now for Texas, they have some familiarity in the backfield, which could end up being a pretty big thing. Could Travion Wisner was the SEC's leading rusher. He had over 100 yards and 5 touchdowns, and he was no slouch in the receiving department as well. He's really a versatile back that can do it all. And then there's CJ Baxter, the returning 5-star. He missed an entire season with a knee injury, so it's going to be interesting to see what he can do and if he can bounce back after missing all that time. But beyond him, there still is more talent. You got Jarrett Gibson, the 5'10 sophomore who stepped in and played a significant amount of snaps as a true freshman. So honestly, between the two teams, it's kind of unknown who has the better running back room. I guess you have to give the Longhorns the slight edge because of the continuity, but I think Ohio State's offensive line experience kind of offsets that. So again, to me, it's whoever gets off to the fast start, but it's a true toss-up, and really the entire game is a toss-up. I think Ohio State is favored for a reason. I mean, there's no pressure for them. They have already done the job. Texas can't afford to let down their fan base again because their eggs are all in one basket for this season. But it's going to be an interesting game nonetheless, and a fun way to kick off the 2025-26 college football season. There are obviously so many more phases to the game than what I talked about in this video, and I'll cover them in a future one this week. We still have 8 days until the game, but that's all I got for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you made it to this point and enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly means the world. And also let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.